So we are here today with Nigel Barros, a fan of the podcast. Before we started, Nigel shared with me that he listened to every episode.
Yeah, I've listened to every episode.
What the heck? I don't think I've even listened to every episode, and I hosted it. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. That's like an honor.
For sure.
Are you a Polar Pro fan as well or something? Have you?
Yeah, I've used some Polar Pro products for like some of my DJI stuff that I had, for sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, taking me back, yeah, we started this thing like 3 years ago in Costa Mesa, and yeah, that's kind of what brought me to California, and then I just moved back to Tennessee like 9 months ago, but yeah, do you share where you live? Sorry if not.
No, I'm from Portland, Oregon, and I just live just south of it in a little town called Oregon City.
Cool. Oregon City in Oregon. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting thing here. I've definitely seen your stuff over the years, and your videos would pop up in my feed, and I'd watch it. But one really stood out to me recently, and it was, the title of it was "Best Cheap Camera for YouTube Nobody Talks About." And look at that. It's performing well. 24,000 views a week ago. That's pretty good. And what do you know? You're talking about the Olympus camera, one of my favorite cameras.
Yeah.
Also, is that clickbait? Because somebody was talking about it.
Well, yeah.
Dave Mays and Jevon Dovey. That's about it.
Yeah. No, for sure. There's like two people, but I feel like
there's
it's kind of like a broad. Yeah.
There's literally like three YouTubers. Rad 35 photography, I think.
Yep.
And then there's two other guys, one that's like lives in maybe Korea or something, and then another guy who lives in like Russia or Switzerland.
Yeah, I think is it Robin Wong who you're thinking of?
Yes, Robin Wong.
Yes.
He seems like the nicest guy in the world.
He does.
And then the other guy, I think, is from Switzerland or something, or the Netherlands. I don't know. But yeah, there's like three guys on YouTube that like are Olympus ambassadors, I guess. And it's so funny, like all they do is talk about Olympus. That's it. That's literally all they do.
Yeah.
So I definitely never went down that rabbit hole, but I definitely converted a lot of people to the Olympus because at the time, now, I mean, nowadays it's not so much the case, but like 2 years ago, there was no cameras that could shoot 4K, had a stabilized sensor, had a flip screen, had decent color, great lens selection, affordable, and good autofocus. Like all those things combined, and a mic jack, obviously.
Yeah.
All those things combined were the Olympus. And I was like, when I figured this out, I was like, why isn't anybody talking about this? Like, this is what you want. And then I think it's just because everybody moved on from Micro Four Thirds. But I was at least trying to talk to people with GH5s who were trying to do YouTube. I was like, look, if you're using a GH5 for YouTube stuff, like buy one of these bodies and use all the same lenses that you're already using.
Exactly.
But then also a lot of GH5 users use speed boosters with adapted lenses, which are mostly manual. So when you put it on the Olympus, you're not really getting that benefit with the autofocus. So I understand, like, unless you're somebody that owns a ton of native Micro Four Thirds lenses, it's not especially nowadays with like the A7C and even, cheaper cameras that like the ZV, the ZV 10E or something, I don't know, ZE.
Yeah, I forget the names for all those Sony cameras.
The APS-C like version of the ZV-1.
Yeah,
like that exists now, and that's cheaper, and it kind of gives you everything. But anyways,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, tell me about like what happened when you decided to pick up an Olympus camera, and what are your thoughts? I mean, I don't know how long you've had it now, but
I actually have it right here.
You came prepared.
No, I got it right here. It's funny because like I'm always looking for like a good cheap camera that I can recommend people, and like for the longest time, I pretty much have been saying like what everyone else says, like get an M50 or get a G7 if you're like on like the really if you want like a really budget friendly camera.
Yeah, a budget friendly with a headache though. I mean that camera is like really hard to use.
It really is, but like I feel like pound for pound, you can get that camera used for like $300 or something like that.
I know, it's so ridiculous,
and it's like it's still pretty good quality if you just want the quality with having to like jump through a lot of hurdles. But like 100%. Now I saw like so I saw your video and I was like, okay, like that's cool, but I don't really think that like I would want to use it. But then it just started coming down in price. And I was just like, huh, like I found this for $550. And I was like,
That's a good
500
deal.
and like 550 for a micro four thirds camera that I can use all my lenses on and it has really good autofocus. Like that could cut my YouTube making time in half if I just didn't have to like,
Yeah.
mess with the manual focus on, because I was using a G85 and a GH4 and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So it's like those cameras, you can't use autofocus at all. So
Yeah. Well, imagine, I don't know if you've ever used the amazing Panasonic 10 to 25 1.7, and then now they have the new, was it 25 to 35, I think. Um,
yeah,
that lens, the 10 to 25 1.7 on the Olympus was like a god YouTube setup. Like, because honestly, 16 millimeters is a little too wide. Like 16 to 35 is what most people shoot on, but I feel like 16 looks too distorted, too wide. But 24 to 70, like 24 is usually just not enough for YouTubers, like especially if you're doing like a selfie kind of thing. So the 10 millimeters on the Olympus is equivalent to like a 20, and then if you throw on the mode 1 stabilization, then now it turns into like a 24 equivalent.
yeah,
And then it's 1.7 on Micro Four Thirds, which is, totally fast enough to give you nice looking bokeh. It's just an expensive lens and it's big, which is ironic
yeah,
because it's Micro Four Thirds. But that lens on
exactly.
that camera was like an amazing combination. I personally have the trifecta of Olympus primes. I have the 17 1.2, the 25 1.2, and the 45 1.2.
Oh, nice.
And those three kind of, I don't know. I like the 1.2 aperture, even though 1.7 on the Panasonic is nice. They're smaller, and I like working with primes personally. So those
For
three
sure.
are pretty solid. And then I do have the 15 millimeter as well.
Yeah,
But
same.
I have the, yeah, I noticed your video, you had that, and I love that
Yeah.
lens on that body. It's like so easy to just run around. And I don't know about you, but I use it all the time for just like normal life too. Like I take pictures of my kids with it because it's such a nice compact setup. And once you like learn Olympus, the menus and stuff, like once you really get it dialed, I actually really love the buttons and the dials. I think they have it laid out really nicely. And you have
For
the
sure.
Mark II. I do have the
Yeah.
Mark II, and I also have the Mark III, and they really did solve a lot of the things that I kind of was annoyed by with the two in terms of handling. They put like a dedicated ISO button on there. They put a joystick on it. The buttons are a little more clicky. And then what else? And then you also obviously get ProRes RAW, which I think I commented on your post because you're like, I
Yeah.
wish it did
Yeah.
10-bit. It's like, well, the 3 does do it technically. You just have an Atomos.
Yeah.
You can do 10-bit and also ProRes RAW, which I've never even used it. So I
Yeah.
don't even know what it's like. I'm sure it's fine. But like right
For
when you
sure.
posted that a week ago, literally this week, Olympus kind of like teased everybody. I don't know if you saw that. They
Yeah.
teased
Yeah.
with they're calling it the Wow camera. So apparently, they didn't like really share anything, which was really annoying.
Yeah. I watched the whole thing and it was just like, okay, I don't really know what this
Here's
camera is yet still. I don't know.
here's a picture of it. Yeah, it was like a
Hmm.
blurred out, like really dark image of the camera. It doesn't really tell us anything, honestly. But the rumors are saying that we should hopefully have 4K 60. We should have internal 10-bit. Honestly, if it just did those two things, I'd be happy. Like 4K
Yeah,
60
same.
and 10-bit. That'd be great. So,
For sure.
and I was really, when I switched over to it, I was very impressed with the color science. I really love the color on it.
Yeah, I like the color when I'm not like I tried using OM log a little bit and I just
Yeah,
that just falls apart when I tried to grade it, but I really like flat.
totally.
Like I just love the flat profile because it's like super easy. It kind of reminds me of like CineStyle a little bit back from like the Canon
Oh,
camera
yeah,
days.
totally.
But it's like, yeah, it's super easy and it gives me way better skin tones than any of the Panasonics that I've used because
Yeah.
all the Panasonics just they either give a greenish tint to my skin or like a
Mhm.
magenta shift, and I always have to just mess with it so much. So I'm
Yeah.
stoked on the Olympus colors for sure.
I'm kind of a crazy person. I shoot natural on it because I also love flat, but my method for YouTube has always been like just bake it in, so I'd never have
Yeah.
to color correct ever. Because for the 2 years where I was just full time YouTube, it was all about speed. So it was like if we can just bake it in, Like I would even use a Ninja and record 10-bit, but I would actually shoot on like a natural profile. And so I have like a nice beefy like 10-bit image with no noise, really clean, and it's just totally baked in, and it's like it looks perfect out of the box. You never have to even touch it.
Yeah.
So I personally, my philosophy is like I want to have flat as an option, but then also like if my camera can do a really beautiful baked in, then that's great. A lot of people have argued with me about that on Twitter, but
Yeah, I think I saw that about like why shoot log if you're just going to make it look like Rec 709 or whatever.
I think that's why. Yeah, I mean, it's different. It's to me, the YouTube videos that I was making were disposable videos. They weren't pieces of art. It was like journalism, basically. Like, here's a new camera. Here's what it does. All right, we're moving on to the next thing. You know, it's like
For sure.
So to me, nothing about what I was doing was artistic. It was really just like entertainment and journalism. So anything I could do to speed it up, and because I had an editor too, and he wasn't the best at color grading. Connor, sorry if you're listening to this, he's a lot better now. But you know, it was just a hang up in our workflow where he would edit, and then I would have to color correct it, and then we'd export it. And once we started baking it in, he started learning how to like dial white balance, and we would actually use like white balance shift, and you know, I would do work on it, like I would dial in the tone and the saturation and the, you know, get it how I want. But it was great because like he could just edit and then export and then upload. Like he didn't have to ever color correct. So anyways,
sure.
I'm going on a rant here. So right on your homepage here on YouTube, it says 12 years on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that officially qualifies you as like an OG YouTuber, dude. 12 years?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess technically my first YouTube channel that I ever started was in 2006. So,
Wow.
so I've been on the platform for, you know, at least 15 years now, but I feel like even the 12-year thing, like that was more just for like a cool title, but I wouldn't really say that I've ever like, I think that I started, you know, getting serious about YouTube like back in like maybe like 2011 or something like that. Was when I started actually like, you know, trying to put out stuff that was actually halfway decent.
Well, I mean, that's still a long time in internet culture. I mean,
No, for sure.
2011 is 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Dude, we're getting old, man. What the heck?
I know.
I was talking to somebody today, actually. Like, it was at my work, and I was like talking about video stuff. And he's like, man, it seems like you really know what you're talking about when it comes to video. You must have been doing this for a while. He was like joking around. And I actually thought about it, and I like counted. I was like, I've been doing video professionally for over 14 years now. It's like, it's absurd. I started when I was 17 years old. I'm 31. So it's like,
It's crazy.
you know, essentially almost half my life at this point. So
Yeah.
anyways, it's crazy. Like getting old. Who would have?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I actually just turned 31 a couple weeks ago.
Okay. You're a 1990 kid?
Yep. 1990.
Did you graduate in 08?
Yeah.
Oh, look at us. We're the same class. I'm an
There you
08
go.
kid. Tell me about yourself, man. Like, you're clearly an amazing filmmaker and storyteller, based off of your YouTube stuff. But I don't know
thanks,
anything
man.
about you and your background and like how you got started, and if you do YouTube full time, if you do freelance. Like, tell me your story. What do you do?
Yeah. So I started, like a lot of people started making videos. I was really into skate filming because I really like skateboarding even today.
Nice.
So I did a lot of skate filming as a teenager. And when I was, I think, 21, I got an opportunity to go and intern with this YouTube channel that started out down in Houston, Texas. They're called Gizmo Slip, and they had another channel called Beyond Slow Motion. So I interned with them, and it was actually run by a buddy of mine and his business partner. So I went down to Houston for a while, and we took a trip to LA, and I got to meet a bunch of, you know, pretty, you know, big OG YouTubers at the time, like Jax Films and Zach King from Final Cut King. And so I got to meet them, you know, and talk with them and see, like,
Was that his name before Zach King?
yeah, Final Cut King.
Dude, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
talking
he was
about,
like-
we're talking about like the Zach King, the visual effects magician, right?
Yeah. So we did a few videos with them because
Cool.
we had like a phantom camera. So we shot a bunch of like slow-mo stuff. But I
Nice.
saw that like, you could actually be a YouTuber. Like these guys were doing it even back,
Yeah.
in 2012 or whatever. So I thought that was really cool. And when I was done with that internship, I came back up to Portland and I started, kind of doing a little bit of freelance work, but then I ended up getting another internship with this skateboarding ministry here in Portland called Skate Church. And so
Mm-hmm.
I did the video stuff for them and I got, like free housing and I got to skate and, share my faith with kids. And I thought that was really cool. So I just did that for a few years. And then,
It's legit.
um, yeah, I really wanted to start, you know, pouring my work into YouTube a little bit more. And so I started uploading stuff, just, doing random camera rig builds.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of them really popped off. So I just kept on doing it. And I really wanted to focus in on like the budget friendly crowd because that was, who I was. Like I didn't have a lot of money at the time. So okay, I'll make videos that are specifically for people like me, and I'll just
Mm-hmm.
try to like do the most with the budget that I have. So that's what my channel's kind of like grown into now, where it's just like I want to try to bridge that gap between budget gear and professional video. So
Yeah.
yeah.
What a cool perspective to kind of like see real life YouTubers back in the day when it was so new. Was there any cool stories from that you can share with some of those guys from the early days of YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy just how much hustle a lot of those people had. Like even like uh, Zach King, we met him at Biola College down in
Yeah.
LA. I forget where that is, but like he
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. My friend Brandon Lee from This Is Tech Today. He works there, or he used to work
Oh,
there.
right on. Yeah, he was like doing, you know, a classes, but then in the middle, he would like, meet up with people like us and shoot like these slow mo videos. There's this one really fun one that we did where it was an egg fight, but we shot it in like super high frame rates, and
Nice.
it was just, it's still on there. I think if you go to like the backlog of his videos, it's like this big egg fight where we just had people throwing eggs at each other in super slow motion, and it was pretty fun. It was kind of cool, just like learning how to use a phantom camera and
Dude, yeah.
but like that stuff is it's super fun to look back on. And we did a couple of projects with the Powell Peralta skateboarding team.
Uh-huh.
We did some pretty fun ones where we put a bunch of chalk on their skateboards and then they would do tricks. And in slow motion, you would see like the chalk just like fly all over the place as
Oh,
they were doing
cool.
their flip tricks. So yeah, there's a lot of fond memories from back in 2012.
It's funny, like back when a lot of the film camera technology was just really like the Reds and the Phantom and even the DSLR revolution were happening. It was kind of like, yeah, gear doesn't matter, but also if you owned a Red One and a Phantom in like 2010, like you were gonna get work, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then even up until recently, if you owned an Alexa Mini or something, and you were freelance, you're gonna get work.
Yeah.
So I had some friends here in Nashville who like, took out a loan on a Alexa Mini, and then they ended up paying it off in like a year, and then they just kept working. So that's
Yeah.
not necessarily the case anymore because it's like you can buy a Komodo now for like nothing. So uh,
Exactly.
nothing in terms of film production
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
It's very significant to an individual to spend $6,000 on a camera for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's really cool, man. And yeah, I mean, is Zach King a believer? I didn't know that. Was he?
Uh, I
I,
honestly don't know.
isn't that a
But
Christian school? I think.
yeah, it's a Christian school. I've been to his house. He lives actually not too far. Well, I mean, his parents do,
Mhm.
not too far from here, just across the river.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't actually say, but
Yeah, who
I think
knows,
he
right?
might be.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that too, dude. That's
Yeah,
awesome. There's a lot of believers in the industry here.
for sure.
And I try to like I've been told not to talk about it on the podcast, but uh, I still do sometimes because I don't care.
And I mean, like, I appreciate it. I think it's cool.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, okay, so talk to me about like now. Like, do you have a family? Are you a freelancer? Like, are you just full time YouTube? What's kind of your
Yeah, I have a wife, no kids yet, but currently,
congratulations?
yeah, thanks, man. Um, yeah, so I've been doing YouTube full time now for just a little bit over a year, and it's it's going good. I mean, like I still do the occasional freelance gig here and there,
Hmm.
if it's a good project. But yeah, I mean, I've been able to make
You can
YouTube
always
work.
dual purpose it. That's what I used to do. I'd be like,
Yeah,
"Hey, if you let me bring somebody to film me shooting you, then
yeah,
I can
exactly.
do it." So Connor would
Yeah,
just tag along while I shoot a freelance project. I throw him $100, and then I keep the rest of the budget or whatever.
there you go.
Um, yeah, that was always fun. But it's still hard though. Like when you're on a YouTube schedule, to also find time to edit those types of freelance gigs, especially ones that require client approval and like multiple revisions. It's like no.
Yeah, yeah. That's like the really hard part is that like sometimes it, so for me, like sometimes it's just, choosing, do I want to, like do more freelance work and have my YouTube channel kind of like, fall by the wayside, or
Hmm.
do I just want to go like full in and just try to make YouTube work,
Yeah,
which, thankfully it's been working for like the last year, a year and a
that's
half.
awesome,
So I'm
dude.
stoked.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Do you do sponsorships?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. Yeah, I do some sponsorships. I have like one each month now for like the next year or something like that with Skillshare.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, I mean, sponsorships and honestly affiliate sales are where like the majority of
Totally.
my income is coming from right now, for sure.
Yeah, and the ad money is always like icing on the cake, right? So.
Yeah, the ad money, like it got to where it was actually pretty substantial when one of my videos kind of blew up. It
Mm,
was like that lighting video. I don't know if you saw that one, but I
yeah.
think that one has like, I don't know, like almost
How
3
to make
million
a
views now.
300. Yeah, I've watched that
Yeah,
one for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. So when that one was in its like its really big growth stage, the uh the Google AdSense was actually pretty good
I
during.
love, dude. I love how you did how to make video from any smartphone look pro. It's just the same thumbnail,
Yeah, dude, it's exactly the same.
but it worked.
Yeah, no, it did. Yeah, for sure. It's like
Smooth.
I hate making those types of titles and thumbnails because it's like I think it's cheesy, but at the end of the day, it works. So
Yeah. 2.7 million views 2 years ago. Way to go.
yeah,
So tell me about that video. So if you guys haven't seen the video, just go to Nigel's YouTube channel. We'll link it, of course, in the show notes in the description. How to make a $300 camera look pro. Where did that concept come from? Was this intentionally designed to blow up? Was that kind of a strategy for you, like based off of looking around, or was it kind of a happy accident?
no, it was definitely a happy accident. And whenever I talk to my friends about this, like this was a video that it was kind of like one of those filler videos where I didn't have anything planned for like the following week. And so I just I shot this video and it was almost in one take with just like a few, B-roll clips in it.
Hmm.
It was one of those videos where it's like I had it scheduled to be released and I almost was going to delete it. I was like, oh, that's kind of cheesy. Like maybe I shouldn't even upload anything this week. But I just decided to leave it up and then it just kind of like blew up within like a
Hmm.
couple of days and it got a lot of traction. But um yeah, it's definitely one of those videos that just it was a
Well,
total happy accident for sure.
yeah, I mean, same here with the M50 video for us. The M50 had already been on the market for like 3 or 4 months, and then we reviewed it, and it just like for some reason just eventually went viral on our channel, and then we obviously made like 5 other M50 videos back to back to
Yeah.
back. But it's something about that price point. It's I mean, well, it's not something. It's obvious. Like most people, like a wide net of people, um, maybe they want to up their game with video. Like they're not going to spend even $1,000 is absurd to them to spend. So the
Yeah.
title itself, how to make a $300 camera look pro. Like $300 to most normal people is kind of top of what they want to spend. They don't even want to spend 300. That's probably like a lot for some people. So it's kind of like, okay, $300 camera. How do I make it
Yeah.
look like pro? Like it's so simple. And then obviously the thumbnail is perfect. It's just a clean like A and B. On the left you have garbage shot,
Hmm.
and then on the right you have a well lit, professional looking shot, and it's got the face, it's got the camera, it's got red. I mean, it's kind of the perfect marriage of things. It does remind me of one of the videos that Ted did on Indie Mogul. He did like
Oh,
a
really?
he did like a lighting one that I wonder if he stole it from you, honestly.
Dude, there was a lot of people that like, oh yeah,
Wait, oh, I have the face only autofocus
oh
on with the,
really?
but
Yeah, there
yeah,
was a lot of people who
yeah, the
like yeah, they
softest
messaged me
Hollywood.
and they were like, "Hey, could I borrow that idea and do my own take on it?" And I was like, "Sure, I don't know if it works."
Yeah, I've now that I'm looking at it, I wonder if they just ripped you off completely because it looks like before I was working there, there was like two or three before and after thumbnails,
Yeah,
like crappy on the left, good on the right. Yeah, I mean, if it works, don't fix it, right? If it
yeah,
ain't
for
broke, don't
sure.
fix it. And that's the strategy on YouTube is like seeing what the algorithm likes, seeing what people click on, and iterating and making it your own. But way to go
Yeah.
for pioneering that style and that format.
Yeah, thanks. That video actually got me put on the creator on the rise for like a day, which I was stoked on.
Dude, wow.
Yeah.
Did it go viral like overnight or was it like over
Well,
a month or a week or what? What
I think
happened?
it was like so like the first week, I think it broke like 100,000 views.
Okay.
And then it just kept on growing after that. And I think it was like a month later that I was the creator on the rise for a day. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, it was that's as
Was it
that's my
on
only
I would imagine that it was on everything, right? Like Petapixel, DP review, like did they share it?
honestly, I didn't share it anywhere, and I don't know if it did get posted anywhere. But yeah, I haven't really like looked into that.
I'm such a nerd with analytics, so I'm always trying to figure things out. What is, if you look at your analytics, what's kind of your top like five performing videos each month? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Well, honestly, that video still performs pretty well each month. And
Have
then I
you?
have a few other ones about like some cheap stabilizers or how to like,
Uh huh.
stabilize your camera for free. Or it's just a lot of the stuff that,
Yeah, the smooth video without a gimbal.
yep, yep. Yeah, that
So
one does
that's
pretty well.
3 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you done any follow-ups to those? Other than how to
Um,
make a video from any smartphone look pro. That's a great follow-up.
yeah, I've done a few of the um, like how to stabilize your camera without a gimbal. I've done a few of those. They haven't popped off as much as like that initial one did, but
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes I try to play off of like the ones that have already been successful and see if I can, get a little bit of traction on them. And sometimes it works, sometimes it
Yeah.
doesn't.
By the way, I was going on a rant about why I don't shoot flat for YouTube videos, and you literally have a video titled that.
Yeah, I think that one's really old, but yeah,
2 years ago. You must have
yeah.
changed your tune a little bit there.
Well, I think back then, like I was, still shooting with the GH3, and I couldn't really shoot anything other than natural, anyways.
For sure.
But yeah,
That should have been why I don't shoot flat for YouTube videos. Play. So I got the
yeah,
GH3. It doesn't shoot flat. Just make sure to
yeah,
subscribe, like, and comment down
yeah.
below. Have you played around with YouTube Shorts at all or TikTok?
Honestly, not YouTube Shorts. So TikTok, I've got like I don't know 12,000 followers on TikTok, and I just
Nice.
do the same type of stuff on TikTok where I light stuff, but I just use my iPhone 7 and show people just how much
Yeah.
lighting can affect your video, even if you're using an old phone. But yeah,
Cool.
TikTok is weird. I don't know. It's the commenters on TikTok kind
They're,
of I don't know. They weird me out a little bit, so I
well, they're
try to like
mostly
stay off of
kids.
it. Yeah. So it's just
I,
like
it was the first time in my life when I started like interacting with children. It was kind of like, oh, this is, I'm not used to this. Like, this is what Logan Paul deals with. It's
yeah,
like the comments are so, it's like, I made I did that parody on the iPhone or whatever, and there's this one line where it's like, Google can't sell me nothing. And
yeah.
somebody's like, my dad works at Google, and I'm going to tell him that you made this. Android phones are amazing. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, I've never seen a comment like that before.
Yeah.
Only on TikTok.
Yeah, it's strange because I feel like even the youngest viewers of like my YouTube channel are still, I'm assuming,
Like high school, maybe
yeah,
senior.
like they're at
Yeah.
least, 16, 17 years old, at like
Hmm.
the low end of like, the youngest person. But
Plus,
yeah, on
they're
TikTok, there's,
they're probably like very intelligent, like creative people too, because they're watching
yeah,
your stuff. Obviously, like
yeah,
most normal, playful, play Fortnite all day kids don't watch filmmaker channels.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
um, cool. Well, way to go for being full time on YouTube this
Thanks,
last
man.
year. I know for me it was super freeing when I finally pushed it over and got there as well because I don't know about you, but like doing freelance work is as fun as it is. Being your own boss and kind of like running your own business, like I would just be so frustrated. I'd like make a project, put my heart and soul into it, and then send it over to the client, and then like all the notes would be change this, change this, change this, and it's like, but those are all the things I liked.
Yeah,
It's like, but these are all the things that made it good, dude. Like, what are you
exactly.
doing? And once I started just putting stuff on YouTube, it was so freeing to like find people who agreed with my style or like the things that I liked. Do you resonate with any of that yourself?
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like the same thing can be said for like when I was doing freelance work. It was kind of like you try to put so much effort into the things that you think are going to make it better, and then just have the people that you're making the video for just turn around and tell you that they don't want them. Whereas yeah, it is with YouTube, like I can put like literally anything out, and even if it doesn't get any views, it's still like no one's going to tell me that you know I should have color graded it differently. I mean, you can tell
Yeah.
me that, but it's like it doesn't actually affect me in any way,
Yeah,
like.
exactly.
And it's a lot. It's a fun job, to
It
just
is, yeah.
make YouTube videos. I can't really complain.
I laugh and cry as I it's almost been a year since I've stopped now, so
Yeah,
um yeah, it's been I feel like I need to stop. This podcast for me is like my therapy because I talk to like by having this podcast I'm able to still be a part of the conversation.
no, for sure.
So I talk so I just like try to talk to other YouTubers so I can make myself feel better because I'm surrounded by non-YouTubers all day every day now. Whereas I was in Hollywood surrounded by a bunch of people at Indie Mogul, and that was a lot of fun. But you know, we're not
Yeah.
there anymore. So, anyways, what are your thoughts on kind of the filmmaker review space on YouTube? Because I feel like I mean, especially for you, you've been on the platform for so long, you've seen it change. What are you kind of feeling as far as the pulse of the kind of niche that you're in? Are you having to kind of change, or is there anything that you're doing to try to grow and up the next you basically as a YouTuber you kind of want to make every video better than the last and try to learn from your mistakes. So what's kind of your thoughts on that, like the current pulse of our niche?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there's a lot more. There's a lot more YouTube channels that are based around filmmaking, like so much more than when I was first learning. Like all I had to watch was like a Philip Bloom and Film Riot or whatever.
Yeah.
But as far as like my own channel, like I've kind of like crafted this budget filmmaking aspect to my channel. So I feel like the one thing that's like not so great about that is that I'm never talking about the newest cameras, and so I'm never really
Mm-hmm.
like I don't typically have like the newest cameras that are going to show up in search a lot that I can make videos about. But at the same time, I really do enjoy still trying to just like make the most
Mm-hmm.
out of like the cheapest cameras that I can find. So that part is still fun to me, and that's what I'm going to keep on doing. And what I want
Yeah,
to continue to do is like do some short films and some spec ads like with this cheap gear that I have, just to
totally.
hopefully keep inspiring the type of filmmakers that I was when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing that I found is that when I was trying to learn on YouTube, like a lot of people are, you always you see people say the phrase like gear doesn't matter, but then you see that they have a red Komodo or an Arri Alexa in the background being
Yeah.
used as paperweights or whatever. And so I always felt like there was a little bit of a disconnect there where it's just like, if
Mm-hmm.
there's a 17-year-old kid watching this and you're saying gear doesn't matter, but you have all this like tens of thousands of dollars of gear behind you, like there needs to be some like there needs to be some kind of like, actually putting your money where your mouth is. So if I was doing anything other than YouTube, obviously I'd probably want to get something other than, a cheap EM1 Mark II or whatever. But
Sure.
because I've kind of like, worked myself into like this niche on YouTube, I want to try to like do
Yeah.
as much as I can with as budget friendly gear as I possibly can. So that's what I want to just, continue to do, and hopefully, I don't know, expand on, you know, what's possible, I guess, with the cheap gear that I,
Well, I
yeah.
think you've picked a good kind of niche within the niche, because we're continuing to see so many great new cameras and things coming out year over year that are cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and more accessible than
Mhm.
ever. Obviously, of course, mobile phones is kind of the obvious one. Is like everybody buys phones already. The fact that the cameras are getting so good uh, is great. It means that you don't
Yeah.
have to buy a camera anymore. And I mean, you were talking about the iPhone 7. I mean, you can totally get away with even an older iPhone or even Android phone using different apps like Filmic Pro or whatever. But that being said, the new like iPhone with the ProRes, I've been very impressed with the ProRes results, and also this new Sony Xperia Pro I or whatever, with the 1 inch sensor in it. Uh, that's really promising to like get true depth of field, have like a big beefy sensor on a mobile phone. That's pretty cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a $1,200 phone though. So
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, I still can't believe that they put ProRes in an iPhone. Like,
yeah.
when I heard that, I was like, "Are you serious?"
Well,
That's such a beefy codec.
well, yeah. I think the rumors were coming out a couple of months prior about it, and it was such a like, there's no way, kind of a rumor. It was like
Yeah.
that's one of those rumors that are. It's just obviously like some sort of lost in translation thing. But no, it's not only is it just ProRes, like it's ProRes HQ. It's like 700 megabytes per second or something.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like
the
you have to get like the largest capacity phone to even shoot a couple of minutes with it, right?
but I think it's an interesting marketing decision maybe for Apple, because Steven Soderbergh famously has shot a couple of films on the iPhone, and I think there's some sort of um, there's just something to like the idea of shooting on an iPhone, like in a real professional setting, and by unlocking that feature, it may truly be used in that way, and that will be the biggest. Who knows? Maybe Apple's literally currently shooting a show for Apple TV Plus on an iPhone, and the filmmakers are like, "Look, we'll do it, but you have to give us ProRes. Like, we're shooting on a real $1 million budget. Like, it needs to be good." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Well, might as well just give it to everybody, because then, boom, next filmmakers will have access to it." The problem, and I had this discussion with Crazy Ken from Clan, who was just on the. I don't know if you know that channel. He's
Yeah. Yeah.
hilarious. Um, he brought this up, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it. The 13 is a USB 2 speed Lightning port. Like, if you're talking about a terabyte of footage, it's gonna take you like what, like an hour to get it off. It's like a terrible workflow.
Yeah.
You'd have to like. I feel like real professional shoots would just have 10 iPhones, all 1 terabytes, and once it fills up, you just throw it to the DIT, and he just starts offloading, and then you just get the new one and just keep going. That's
Yeah.
you know, but that's so ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
and you don't even need that for TikTok or
Oh no, for
YouTube.
sure. It's
Um,
very like, I feel like even that's a very like niche situation that you would ever really need ProRes in your iPhone,
mhm.
but it's
But
cool
hey,
that it's there. Yeah.
it's there. It sure is. So, let's see. What else can we talk about?
We can talk about whatever, Dave.
Do you have any questions for me? Since you've been a
Um,
fan of the show for so long, what are some of the things that are like, what's some of your favorite guests that I've had on?
well, I definitely I really liked Logan Paul's editor. I learned
Yes.
so much
Dude,
from those two podcasts. Um,
Hayden, yeah. I
yeah,
probably
yeah,
could have
Hayden
just put
Hilliard.
it. I could have put it in one, but it was during kind of the holiday season, so I was like, this is a great opportunity to break it up into two, because they're both great, and we talked for 2 hours. I didn't want to cut
Yeah,
it.
yeah. No, that
I
was a great episode. Yeah, I mean, like, I just like, I listened to your your podcast a lot when I'm like, driving out into the mountains when I'm, filming a lot of my videos. And it's just really interesting hearing even the homesteaders. Like that was a really cool episode.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah,
That one performed well. That was actually one of our top performing videos and episodes. Were those guys? They have a really big fan base. So,
yeah,
and it is interesting. It is a very interesting lifestyle. Even my wife has kind of like thought about like, hey, it'd be cool to like buy a house in the country out here in Tennessee and
yeah,
like convert it into a farm. Give us like, just gives you. I understand it. It's like, I mean, it's innately human to like farm. It's just what we were put on this planet to do. That's how God made us, I guess. So
yeah, for
it is
sure.
like really being one with nature and having a lot of purpose. Taking care of these animals and then the fulfillment for my kids too, to like plant a seed, to see it grow, to fertilize it, to then harvest the food. There's a lot of metaphors there that you can
Definitely.
use. So
Yeah, yeah,
makes a lot of sense. It's just like culturally it's you know I mean, who do you know that does that? Not many people. But
yeah.
um
No, for sure. Yeah, that's
so
something that like I've always, thought about, trying to move out to the mountains or something like that, which, someday my wife and I might actually end up doing that. But we're
nice.
actually planning on moving to Dallas in
Okay,
March. Yeah,
good
that's where my wife's
choice.
from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Go hang out with Sarah Dietschy down there. And
Yeah, yeah, no, I was gonna see if I could skate with John Hill. Maybe I'll have to
yeah.
hit him up.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you should. Do you know him?
Well, we have mutual friends, but I've never
Cool.
actually talked to him. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he's super sweet guy. Yeah, they're down there. That'd be awesome. You could
yeah,
help him shoot or something.
yeah, that'd be sweet.
And then Ryan uh freaking film right.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's funny. Shortly after I left with Gizmo Slip, this has got to be like back in like 2013 or 14.
Hmm.
They got on the same revision 3
Yeah.
uh, thing with Film Riot, and so they did this little skit with Film Riot. It was like the funniest thing. They're good friends with this guy who blows stuff up out in Texas, and
Uh-huh.
so they met up with him and they blew up a car or something like that in slow motion. It was hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Ryan Connolly. Yeah, I
Ryan
can't believe
Connolly. Yeah,
I'm like, he's gonna freaking kill me. I'm having a brain fart. I'm like good friends with him and everything. He's such a
yeah, yeah.
he never listens to this, so it's all good.
There you go.
Um, so what are some of your like aspirations as a YouTuber? Like, do you want to just have like 1 million subscribers and just like be the best in the world, or do you want to like slowly grow, like a core audience of people who maybe you have some products, maybe you have some courses that you could sell to help, I don't know. Like what are some of your business strategies and goals?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot about whether I want to, continue to do YouTube like, 5 or 10 years down the line. And if it still, keeps paying the bills, then I'll keep doing it. You know, a part of me really does want to like experiment doing something else, like maybe not something, you know, super different, but maybe just, working for a company as like their
Mm-hmm.
main uh, a creative director or something like that.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like being a YouTuber, but I just kind of want to try something else because I've only ever, I've worked at Parks and Recreation, and I've been a freelance filmmaker, and I've been a YouTuber, and I'm 31. That's only like 3 things. So I wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
try something else.
And by the
Um,
way, just to clarify,
yeah,
you didn't shoot the show Parks and Rec, right?
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no. I just worked at Parks and Recreation here in Portland.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you weren't like a, on set or something,
No, no. I wish that would be insane, but
I was
yeah.
gonna say I only did these three awesome things.
Yeah, that would be insane.
um,
Um,
yeah, okay. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's been refreshing for me personally going from being full-time YouTube for like 3 years to like just stopping dead and just like killing it immediately, and then
yeah,
and like I'm a creative director at my cousin's company, and I do, they do courses and like Instagram reels, and I just made like 5 IG stories today with all sorts of, things, and they're teaching me about Facebook ads and, Instagram stuff, and I'm learning about that whole algorithm, and So it's still similar, but I'm just not on camera anymore. And it is refreshing to be a creative director because they really are like, okay, Dave, so what do we do next? I'm like, well, here's
Yeah.
some ideas. They're like, those are great ideas. And then I do them and they're like, this video is awesome. I'm like, cool. So I'm the boss. Like
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like I feel like
when you're
there's
not
definitely
the
some.
when you're working for somebody else, it can be frustrating. But when you are the boss, it's kind of like, okay, well, at least I'm not having to answer to a million people.
Yeah, no, totally. And like I feel like there is something to be said about just having a normal job. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, part of me, thinks about, it'd actually be kind of easier if I didn't have to like, constantly figure out, how I was gonna make more money each month or whatever. It
Yeah.
would just be like a paycheck. And I was like, okay, I don't have to worry about it anymore. Whereas like now it's like, I can have high months, on my YouTube
Yeah.
revenue, or I can have really low months where I'm just like, oh
Totally.
dang, I need to like sell a light or something like that to, make up some revenue or whatever.
Very YouTuber of you to that
Yeah.
happened to me all the time. It's like, oh crap, I need an extra grand. What camera can I
Yeah,
sell this month?
exactly. I mean, I still do that sometimes, just like, you know what? Like I need a couple extra $100. What can I sell around here that's been sent to me?
Yeah. I feel like every filmmaker, especially, just has, if you've been doing it for a decently long time, you just acquire little doohickeys like this little adapter thing, or like a quick release plate, or like a tripod that you maybe used once on a shoot because you needed to buy it at the last minute. And
Yeah,
like all those things just add up and you just end up having a garage full of this crap, and your wife is like, why do you have all this? You never even touch
exactly.
it. And it
Yeah.
just sits in there. It's like, oh, somebody will maybe give me $100 for this little quick release adapter. But
Totally.
that's so funny. Yeah, I can totally relate. I don't know. I think because I've basically worked for myself my whole life, like working for somebody and having a paycheck has been weird. It's been a weird adjustment because mentally I always had this idea that like there's no ceiling to how much I make. It's kind of like based on how hard I'm willing to work, and especially with YouTube, no matter, if you just work hard and like play the algorithm game and get as many sponsors as you can and get the views up, like you can make more and more money month over month. That is possible, but
Yeah.
but it's stressful. It's a lot of work. That's one of the reasons why I had to take a break, because it was just eating up too much of my life. And you know, this job has been, there's pluses and minuses. I have to like drive and go to an office, all
Yeah.
day. And then I've been traveling more than ever too. We about once a month we do a shoot somewhere. I'm going to Arizona next week, so
Oh, right
um,
on.
that's fine when we don't have kids. But I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and like I miss them every time I leave. And
Yeah.
so there's nothing's perfect. So
Yeah. No, for sure.
it is what it is. Cool. What kind of anything that's like not gear related that you love? Like for me personally, I've become obsessed with retro gaming. Like I bought a Nintendo, like a NES, and I've been playing that. And then I've been getting into F1 racing because of the
Oh,
Netflix
nice.
show. Is there anything in your life that I see a guitar back there? I'm a
Yeah.
guitar player as well.
Yeah. I'm not anywhere near as good as you probably. I just kind of like dink around on there when I'm bored or
What,
I'm waiting for something to render. But
you just think because I live in Nashville, I'm good?
well, no, I've listened to this podcast enough that I can tell that you're probably pretty good.
I got to a
uh,
certain level when I was a teenager, and then I never like advanced. But yeah, I can play a
yeah.
couple riffs.
That's rad. Yeah, no, outside of filmmaking, like I'm really into skateboarding. Like I still
Oh yeah,
skate
yeah,
like
duh, of
a few
course.
times a week if I can when it's dry here. And I really
Nice,
like I'm really into camping. My wife and I do that a lot here in Oregon. It's just kind of like
of
it's
course.
like the funnest thing to do.
It's such a
I'm
beautiful
really
place.
I've really been getting into running as well. So I do that a
Okay,
lot. And this is actually the podcast that I listen to when I run a lot too.
nice, dude.
Yeah.
Man, you're just filling my head up with a lot of hot air right now.
Dude, I mean, like this is kind of like surreal for me because it's like I listen to this podcast so much, and it's just like, oh, I'm on it now. It's kind of sick.
You have noticed, like, as I talk, you just start to kind of like zone out, like you're listening, and you're like, oh wait, no, this is live. This is
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
recording. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Yeah,
I'm not really looking at you. I'm only looking at myself, like
yeah.
we
There you
all
go.
do on Zoom, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm just full of myself. No, I look at you too,
Yeah.
but I am looking at myself right now. How will you know? You'll never know. Um, what's your favorite food?
Um, I really like. It's gonna sound lame, but I really like just beans and rice. My dad's Brazilian,
Nice,
so I eat that a lot with chicken,
Dave.
and it's
That's very Dave Ramsey of you.
yeah. No, I mean it's great with a little bit of cumin and the beans. I'm stoked.
Dude, you are a simple man to please. Now I know how you've been full time on YouTube.
Well, well, that's
you,
another thing I was gonna mention is that like I feel like my YouTube revenue might like, if I was living in LA, I probably wouldn't be able to go full time on YouTube. But, here in Oregon City, it's actually, it's not like super expensive and I'm a pretty frugal person. Like my overhead isn't really that much. So
smart.
I can live, pretty comfortably
Yeah,
on a 134,000 subscriber,
that's awesome, man.
revenue stream.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what's so cool too is like a lot of people think, I can't make it unless I get to 1 million subs or whatever, and that's just so not true.
Yeah.
Obviously, we are completely spoiled in the camera gear space. As I've been researching over the last 9 months, like what I want to do next, I've been trying to figure out like what I want to do next. I think I finally landed on it, but it's going to be gaming related and like entertainment. Just completely getting away from the camera review space because I've just kind of become a little frustrated with it. So, but in that space, like you do have to have like 1 million subs to make as much as you're making. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really crazy how the tech space and especially our camera gear world, like it pays better because
It does. Yeah.
people know that people who are sponsoring you, like they know that they're talking to professional people. And yes, of course, you do have the kind of lower budget audience, but it's still creative professionals more than likely. So, or aspiring people, that's
Yeah,
a
no,
great.
for sure. That's
Skillshare is a great company to sponsor you. It makes
yeah.
complete sense. It's people who are learning and growing and wanting to become professionals. So obviously, Skillshare would be a good company to partner with.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's something that I found too is that like, being in like the lower budget niche within filmmaking, like even with my affiliate sales, like there's a lot more people who are willing to click an affiliate link and buy a $50 light that I really like than
Hmm.
there are if I, posted a link for a red Komodo or something like that. Like just because of like the type of people who come to my channel, like they're on a budget and I get that. And so it's
Yeah.
like, you know, so I actually see like the volume of sales from my affiliate links is like a lot more than what I would get if I was talking about maybe some more expensive cameras.
Have you tried? I didn't like do a deep dive and I'm just asking you off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Have you tried doing like A versus B, like an Alexa versus the G7? Have you ever done that?
I've done a few like that. Like I've put my GH3 up against like a Z Cam and a Blackmagic and like
Yeah.
an FX. Well, I put the S5 up against the FX6 because Panasonic sent me an F. They sent me an S5 like a year ago for like a project, and I
Yeah.
really like that camera.
Me
But
too. It's a
yeah,
great all arounder.
no, it
Just has
really was.
sucky
Yeah,
autofocus, but yeah, I mean, it's better than the other Panasonic cameras actually, especially when you go to the crop mode. It works a lot better.
no,
But
yeah. The S5 is like probably the best Panasonic camera I've used. I haven't used the S1H yet, but
it's
I've
the
used a
same
lot of yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I actually convinced my buddy to pick an S5 up, so he's using that now too.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm very lucky with my job. I mean, I'm using the C70. They bought it for the courses and all the. I use it every day for our job. It's like such a workhorse, but it's cool. My cousin's like, I was like, hey, can I use it for my personal stuff? They're like, yeah, you can take it home and use it. So I'm able to use it for this show. And ooh, look at that! Look at that autofocus. Oh yeah, baby. But yeah, I do love the C70. But at least when I was at Indie Mogul, when I was just doing a lot of, obviously I was just constantly researching, and my whole goal when I was there was like, I want to make this channel the next Corridor Digital. Like, let's blow this thing up to like 5 million, 10 million subs. That was my goal. And so I was only focused on like just blowing it up. And so I was trying to do the most ridiculous like topics and things, and at least within our own limitations. And I did find like the $100,000 camera versus the $1,000 camera. Like, that's such an absurd idea that people would click on it and watch it.
Yeah.
And from an entertainment standpoint, that's how I viewed it. Like, it's all kind of, the illusion is that yes, you are going to learn something. Yes, I'm sort of taking it seriously, but there is kind of a subtle wink wink going on where I know this whole concept is ridiculous. I'm just here to kind of entertain you, because it's like, you're never, of course, if you're going to shoot on an Alexa, you're not even considering an iPhone, but
Yeah. No one's going to ditch their Alexa for an iPhone in reality, but it's a super fun concept for sure.
yeah. So I don't know. Call me crazy, but I bet if you like rented an Alexa or something and then put it next to, the G7, like, it would probably do pretty well, I would
Yeah.
imagine. And don't title it Alexa versus G7, title it, $100,000 camera, Hollywood camera versus $300 camera,
Yeah. For sure.
because if based off of your number one performing video, that would totally fit that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to like think to yourself like, oh man, I don't want to become that guy, right?
Yeah.
But you can do it once every quarter or whatever, and that's your kind of like casting the net moment to like get new people in who've never heard of you. And then once you get them in, they start to, they subscribe and they start seeing your stuff and they become fans. That's how you slowly build your following. So
Absolutely.
yeah, but that one video, like, the fact that it's not only is it like performed really well, it's performed like more than 2x better than your second best video.
Yeah.
It's 2.7 million views, and then your second video is 712,000. So like,
Yeah.
that's really, to me, that's really clear that the algorithm really likes this video. Basically every time YouTube shows that to somebody that they think would like it, they click it, like, essentially.
Yeah.
Because you're getting more views than Peter McKinnon at that point for a video like this. I mean, McKinnon has 6 million subs and he's averaging like 300,000 views, which tells you, that's kind of back to my previous question about your pulse on the audience. Oh my gosh. So yeah, like, yeah, he's about averaging 300,000, like 200, 200, 100, 500, 200, 200, 200, and he's got 6 million subs. So, well,
Yeah.
5.5 million. So like, to me, that tells me that our niche is either just getting spread thin across so many different channels that are doing the same thing essentially, or or McKinnon's just not like, doesn't care or something. I don't know. I don't want to say that because he's obviously like kind of a master at his craft for sure. And he's got a really core audience of people, but I don't know. I always go on rants about our niche because I've been constantly like I've probably been overanalyzing it for so long because I was in it for so long, and I felt like I kept hitting a wall over and over and over, trying to do what I'm seeing Mr. Beast do and other people do in our niche, because people just take filmmaking so seriously. If you like be silly about it, they get like kind of pissed off, So
Yeah. And I never understood that. Like, because like, I mean, like, I love like the videos that you made on Kinotika and Indie Mogul and the stuff that Zach and Connor have been doing. Like, I think that's
Thanks,
I think that's hilarious. And I feel like the filmmaking niche needs more of that, because like, we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously. Like, we press a red record button for a living. You know what I mean? Like, we don't
yeah.
like, you don't have to, pretend that like we're doing something that's like, I don't know, like maybe some people are doing it and, it's way more of a big deal, but to me, it's just not. And I like a little bit of lightheartedness in it because it's just, they're just cameras.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, like, it is a small group of people that are interested in this. just because it's, I mean, otherwise there'd be filmmakers everywhere you look, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's, I don't know, people in my church, like there's nobody, I don't go to a mega church or anything, but like, I don't know anybody that does what I do there. And locally, there's nobody here. Like in Nashville downtown, of course, there's a bunch of people, but other than cities and, industry towns, on average, people don't do this. So
Yeah, for sure.
that's okay. And like, if I've been trying to say this a lot, like on the podcast, if you are good at video or even a photographer and you understand video and you want to do YouTube, consider trying a niche. Like in your case, you love skateboarding. Like if you used your filmmaking abilities to make a skateboarding channel, that's a much larger audience of people that are interested in skateboarding than filmmaking. So like use your skills as a filmmaker to make the best freaking skateboard videos ever, because that will be served to more people. I feel like a lot of us filmmakers think like, oh, I see Matty Apoya doing it and Dave Mays and whatever, I'm going to just do that too. And it's like, well, yes, you could do that, but because we're all filmmakers, we're all good at making these YouTube videos. So now it's just like there's a ton of us doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to be the first to say like I'm jumping ship, guys. Like I'm going to try something else here because you guys can handle it. Like
Yeah, I mean, that's something that like I've been, toying with the idea of like, starting a second channel and maybe doing it about skateboarding or about, camping and van life and stuff like that, because that's stuff that I'm like super into. And I feel like my filmmaking, background could actually, help me, make better videos than what's already out there, even though there's a lot of really good stuff out there in both of those niches.
Sure.
I feel like it'd be like I'd be competing less with, trying to, get in front of the right people, I guess.
Yeah. But then again, you'd make less money probably because
Exactly.
the ad money is less and all that. So like that's the back and forth I keep having. And at Camera Camp, Zach did this thing called Camera Camp on Sunday. I don't know if you heard about that or whatever, but
I think I saw something about it. Yeah.
Yeah, he for like the last 6 months he's been saying October 31st, downtown Nashville, Camera Camp. Like if you want to join, subscribe. Like that's that's his call to action. He's like, if you want to be in Camera Camp, make sure to subscribe. That's your ticket.
Yeah.
So whatever.
And it actually finally happened.
But yeah, it actually happened. And I think like 7 guys showed up. One guy from New Orleans, 2 guys from Texas, 1 guy from California. There was a couple guys local that showed up, and it was hilarious. Like he actually pulled it off. And of course I had, daddy duties, like doing trick or treat with my boys.
Yeah.
But once that was over, I went over there, and there was like 6 or 7 guys that were like Kinatika Indie Mogul fans, and they were telling me like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, get back out there, do it again. Like, we'll watch it,
Yeah.
And so that made me feel really good. It was kind of like, oh, I guess I could just go back to it. Like, I could probably just start tomorrow and just kind of pick up where I left off, I guess. But
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to or not. I don't know. I don't know what to do, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a struggle to figure that out.
It doesn't matter. We're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. Okay, so let's see. If you could change one thing about YouTube, if you had the CEO of YouTube on speed dial and she would actually listen to you, is there anything that like annoys you, something that you would love to, a feature you'd love to add to it?
I mean, I just kind of wish that, well, first I wish, and I know that there's probably some technical limitations as to why that YouTube can't do this, but like, I just wish the YouTube quality would be like Vimeo. I've always wished that. Cause like,
I know,
I really better. Like, I used to love, putting, like a film grain on like, some of my more, like artsy, pieces or whatever, but it's like, I couldn't, like, you can't do that on YouTube. It just doesn't look good. It
gets compressed.
Yeah. So I wish like the quality of YouTube would be a little bit better so that like you could actually show off like how good of a camera you actually, or, how good of footage you are actually, working with.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, I don't know, the whole subscriber thing is kind of weird because I feel like if you're subscribed sometimes, unless people have that bell notification turned on, like your
Yeah.
video won't actually go into their subscription feed. And I've
Yeah.
had a lot of my subscribers tell me that, we're just like, I'm subscribed to you. I don't like having notifications on because it's annoying and I never see your videos. I'm like, okay, well that sucks. But so if there was some way to like fix that somehow, I don't know. But I mean, other than those two things, I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't really,
I feel like subscribers have kind of, I mean, it is a metric that people like to have that number. It's like a ego thing.
yeah.
Um,
It's like
but
I don't,
it doesn't matter. Like the algorithm is serving it to the right people.
yeah, like I don't actually care about subscriber count. Like I'd rather have consistent high views. Like I'd rather have 5,000 people who want to
Yeah.
watch my video than, a million and only get, a couple 100,000 views or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather
Hey,
actually have people
hey,
watch my stuff.
that was Indie Mogul for sure.
Uh,
Indie Mogul had like I think 900,000 subs or something when Ted got it. So, and most of them would be considered like dead subs. So,
oh,
I
that
always felt
sucks.
like that channel operated as if it only had like 200,000 essentially.
Yeah.
Even though it was a million, it was as if those other 900,000 were, not a part of the equation.
Yeah,
So,
no, for sure.
yeah, totally. I agree. And I think Pat Flynn talks about that. We had him on the show one time. He has a book called Superfans. And he talked about on the podcast and he talks about in the book how like you really only need like 1,000 true super fans who will watch everything you make, buy everything you sell, and just be there for you because they're fans of your product and fans of you. And if you can do
Exactly.
that, you can build a successful business because if you can get 1,000 people to spend $100 a year, that's $100,000 a year right there. So
Yeah.
if you can, good for you. If you can get 5,000, that's even better. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great strategy there. Anything you would like to leave with our audience as we close out here? If you could put this is a famous Tim Ferriss question.
Okay.
If you could put anything on Times Square, like the big billboard in the middle of Times Square, what would you put on there?
Oof. Uh, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I'd probably put like, I mean, it's probably going to be like cheesy, but I'd probably just put like a Bible verse or something like that.
Yeah, something that if you could do
Something that,
a piece of scripture that maybe not everybody knows or maybe they do, but there's like a twist to it that kind of catches your eye somehow and it like really hits home and
yeah,
yeah, I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
something the world maybe needs to hear right now.
Yeah,
Something like that.
I loved what Kanye did, with the album, like the name Jesus is King. Like that
Yeah.
became like all over the headlines, all over the media, it was like Jesus is King is number one. It's like, yeah, he is like
Yeah.
like such a clever album cover because anytime anybody talked about it, they're proclaiming that Jesus is king. And one of the
Yeah.
most ironic things about the robbery that happened to me was that I went to Kanye's concert in LA when I was living there, and it was right when that album came out, and I bought like the stupid what was it, like $150 sweatshirt, right? But
Yeah.
it said Jesus is King on it, and I loved it because it was I'm not like a huge Kanye fan, but when he did that album, I was a huge fan,
Yeah.
and they stole it. So the guys that they stole that hoodie because they knew it was worth money or whatever. So I was
Yeah.
like, it's kind of cool that like these robbers are like walking around wearing this hoodie that says Jesus is King on it.
Yeah.
So ironic, but
Yeah. Very.
well, mustache gang for the win. I'm probably gonna shave mine tomorrow for mustache November, but I also often have a mustache. I love the stash, dude.
Yeah. I can't like, it takes months and months for me to grow facial hair. So this is like 3 weeks in the works right now.
It's nice. It's nice and full, and
Thanks.
it looks great. Very masculine. Very Parks and Rec of you.
No, thank
Um,
you.
how's your wife feel about it? Does she love it?
Yeah. I mean,
My
she's,
my wife loves it. She wants me to have a mustache, and my theory is that most other women don't find it attractive to have a mustache. So that's my theory. Is like she's keeping me as
oh, there you
her
go.
man because she
Yeah.
knows most other women find it atrocious.
But yeah, so she knows no one's going to be like looking at you or whatever.
Yeah,
Like honestly, I
exactly.
just grow it because I want to prove to myself that I can.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
Well, let's stay in touch, man. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm happy to help you and just stay in touch. And
Yeah, for
thanks for
sure.
coming on the show. We'll have to have you on again another time for sure. And when are you planning on moving to Texas soon, or is that
Yeah,
like just kind
in
of?
March we're planning
Oh
on
wow, okay,
yeah, road tripping down there. So
sweet. I mean, if I guess Nashville's not really on the way, but if you're ever in Nashville, hit me up for real. We'll hang out.
dude, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Dave.
Of
It's been
course.
an honor.
Thanks
I'm
for
stoked.
shouting me out in the video.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's how egotistical I am. It was like, oh, this guy is talking about me in his video. I should have him on my podcast.
Yeah, did you appreciate that I put you inside of that old Mac too?
Yes, yes, it was perfect. That
Yeah.
was amazing. And as dumb as it is, it's like I'm just being vulnerable here. Like because I haven't been doing YouTube since January, like I've missed it, and like the fact that you put that in there really made me feel like, oh, like I people remember me. Like people
Yeah,
watched the stuff. You know how it is when you're a YouTuber. It feels like you're just talking into a void. Like you are just talking to a camera on a tripod by yourself. And
yeah,
even though there's people commenting on the videos and stuff, the fact that you went out of your way to like mention me and like that one of my videos, like I was literally an influencer in that moment. I influenced you to buy that camera. Like
exactly.
it's so crazy when, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, obviously with your number one performing video. I'm sure tons of people bought that camera and told you that they bought it.
Yeah,
It's a weird feeling, especially when you meet somebody in person who's like, that one video you made really changed my life, or like it really, I bought this camera because of your video. It's it's a really fulfilling job in that sense.
yeah, no, for sure.
So thank you for putting that in there. It made me feel special.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, dude. Well, we'll have to have you on soon, and thanks again. Talk soon.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, man. Later.